Vic Mignogna will be shaving his head in 5 minutes. No! Save me, Shaggy! Anywhere, just a city boy, born and raised in South Detroit. Get ready, we're going around the room and introducing everybody. Come on up close, you guys. Hey, come on up here, everybody. Come on. Come up closer.
Guys, you want to come up?
Look at these people hiding in the back. Come on, Sir Fights a Lot. Come up here. I got seats for you right here. Look here. Nice and good here. Isn't this wonderful? Wonderful it is. Come to my panel, you will. Yes, yes. To come in Conroe, you will come. Yes, good convention. How are you guys doing? What a fun time. Is it okay if I sit down here? I mean, more people came. I was going to sit down here because I want to be able to just see you and talk to you. I want to get it's weird when you're up there. So I like being down here with you. I'll just stay right around here. Okay, so, all right. So thank you guys for being here. I have spent 20 years living in Houston. So this is kind of, I lived in Dallas now. I lived in LA for a while, but I miss Texas. And I could not get out of California fast enough. So I'm happy to be back in Texas, and the chance to be back down in these old stomping grounds here is wonderful. I'm so honored to be here with you guys. Thanks for coming out, especially being the early birds, right? Coming out on Friday, get in quick, get all the good stuff, right? Before all the goods get picked over. I always go looking around the vendor room on Sunday, and there's nothing any good because they sell all the good stuff to you on Friday. My name is Vic Mignogna. Say it with me. Mignogna. Everyone's like, Mignogna? No. It's like Mignogna in Spanish, like tomorrow. Mañana? But it's the Italian version. So you just got to ignore all those letters you're not supposed to say. I've been voice acting for, well, let's see. When were the dinosaurs wiped off the earth?
About 2 years before I was born.
Yes, 2 million years. I've been voice acting for over 20 years. I've done over 400 different animated series and video games. And one of my most treasured projects is a live-action web series called Star Trek Continues. My childhood love when I was a little boy was Star Trek. It was all Star Trek all the time. Like my mom, Chuck's, I gotta tell you, my mother hated Star Trek so much because I loved it so much. Anybody else here, your parents were like, oh my gosh, not more of that, right? Not more, whatever it is, please, no more of that video game. Put Fortnite away, or, I hear one more thing about Dragon Ball, whatever it is, you kind of make your parents crazy. So I do that way. Does everyone be all over the room? That was Star Trek for me. My mother, because I just ate selective Greek, so she hated it. In fact, you know what she used to call it? She used to call it Star Trash. It's surprising she's still alive, isn't it? Because, those are fighting words. Like, right? If you have a passion about something, you don't make fun of it, right? But she was my mom, so I let her drink. Oh, but the best part is, 40 years later, we make this series, right? And she comes down and is working in the production offices, and suddenly she thinks it's cool now, right? And I have to remind her, hey, remember, Mom? Remember how you used to make fun of me all the time?
Oh, the irony.
For loving Star Trek? Let's see, what else? You know what? I was not. In fact, I'm going to tell you my Dragon Ball story, bro. What's your name? Mateo. I like it. I was living in Houston, and I was voice acting for a company in Houston called ADV Films. And ADV did a lot of shows. Evangelion. A lot of shows. Some of my early shows, D and Angel, a lot of early stuff. But I was living here, and somebody invited me to a convention. I didn't even know they had anime conventions. Like when I was a little kid, I would go to Star Trek conventions, but I didn't know they had anime conventions. So I went to an anime convention, and I met some people there from Funimation. And they asked me my name, and they took my number down, and then like a couple of days, I came back to Houston, and I got a phone call from somebody from Funimation. They go, hey Vic, we met at such and such a convention this past weekend. I'm like, oh yeah, hey. Hey, how'd you like to come and be in Dragon Ball Z? And I was like, sure. What's Dragon Ball Z? Like, I love voice acting, so I'm happy to do it, but I didn't even know what it was. And they asked me how like low and dark and evil a voice can you do? And I was like, this was a phone conversation, right? Like, you mean like on the phone? Like how scary could that be, right? And they're like, yeah, just do something. And so I did something on the phone, and they're like, yeah, that'll be fine. We want you to come up and play this character named Brody. And that was like movie 8. That was way back. Way back. And so movie 8. Really? You can't hear me back there? Do I need to project? Theater. The theater training. So I went up and played Broly. And of course, he screams and yells all the time, right? I mean, that's Dragon Ball, right? And I mean, it trashed my voice so bad. I didn't think I was going to make it. Like, we got halfway through the movie, and I was like, I can't do it anymore. And they're like, well, go home and rest up and come back next week, and we'll finish. So I went home, came back to Houston, went back a week later, finished up movie 8. And my final thought as I was finishing the movie was, well, at least he's dead. Right? I mean, I made it, I made it through the movie with my voice intact. At least he's gone. No. A year and a half later, movie 10, Broly's back. I'm like, what do you mean he's back? They beat the crap out of him. He can't be back. Oh, he's back. So I went and did movie 10, and then movie 11, and by then, if you guys know your Dragon Ball, he was just like a pile of jello. He was just like this mushy bio Broly. He didn't even talk. He just like groaned and yelled, which of course I loved so much. But at the end of movie 11, I looked at the director and I'm like, is he really dead now? and you know what he said? He's gone. No, he was gone. He was dead. But then like a year later, I got a phone call. And he goes, we have this video game. I didn't even think about video games because they last forever, right? And like nobody ever dies in a video game. It just next game. So then it was Broly, all the video games for years, all the different video games that Broly was in. If I had a nickel for every time I said Kakarot, I'd be a rich man today. But I don't, and I'm not. So then Dragon Ball Super, Broly. They finally made a movie, a new one that brought him into canon. And I loved the new movie from a few years back. I loved it. They gave him some more, they gave him some more backstory. You felt like you understood why he was the way he was a little bit more, He wasn't just this screaming maniac, homicidal, crazy guy. So that's how I got into Dragon Ball. And, there's somebody here. Is she here? I don't see her. There was somebody who came up to my table a few minutes ago, and she said she was a big Dragon Ball fan, and I said, Broly. And she said, and Berter. There you are! Yes. And I'm like, nobody remembers that. Nobody knows that. Remember the Ginyu Force? The 4 guys, and Berter was the blue guy that ran really fast, right? Yes. Any questions? I'm here to answer any questions. You want to talk about anything. If you want to talk about Star Trek, you'll be my best friend.
We can try it again. We can try it, I think. Are you guys going to turn me down again? No. Karaoke, come on, let's do this. If you have any questions at all, ask away. If you want to talk about anime, video games, Star Trek, it's fine. You'll be my favorite person. If you want to talk about Star Trek. Yes, look, she knows what's up. Any questions? Yes.
Brought in with the other Star Trek alumni when you did Star Trek movies, like brought in and like, hey, you're one of us.
Well, that Renegades was a lot of fun. Tim Russ and those guys, Adrian Wilkinson. I had her Star Trek Continues as well. But Renegades was really cool. And of course, Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov. That was neat. I played any of you guys, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Star Trek. Some of you maybe. There's a race of creatures called the Cardassians, not the Kardashians. That's a whole different race of aliens, if you know what I mean. But somebody here is like, I like the Kardashians. How dare you? It was a joke, y'all. It was just a joke. But the Cardassians have like these really cool prosthetics and really interesting looking race of beings, and I played a Cardassian, and that was a lot of fun. I have a funny story about Renegades. I went upstairs looking for like some water, and Walter Koenig, in case you don't know, you guys, Walter Koenig played Chekhov in the original Star Trek series. And he was in this, and he was sitting upstairs in a room by himself. And I was walking by, and I'm in full Cardassian, right? And I walk by, and I glance in there, and I go, hey, Walter. And he goes, so I walked into the room, and he goes, sit down. And I sat down, he leans into me, and he goes, what do you think of the script? He's like, do you like the script? I'm like, yeah, I think it's really great. Question? Anybody?
What's your next anime adventure?
You know what? I love you for asking. Thank you. I actually just finished a new Naruto video game. I play several different characters in Naruto. About 6. Apparently they ran out of voice actors. Apparently there's so many characters in Naruto that actors tend to double up and triple up. I played Obito and Nagato and Yomi and Fuen and C. And, I just finished a Naruto video game. And very excited though, I should tell you this. Last year in Houston, anybody at Anime Matsuri? Anybody come to Matsuri last year? Yeah, bro. We announced a new dubbing studio. Matsuri AM Studios is starting a new dubbing studio in Houston. And I'm one of the core casting directors, actors, and we premiered something there last year that we had dubbed, and we're currently acquiring some licenses for some new series. And I'm very, very excited about that. Very excited about that. I directed a few things for Funimation, and I really enjoy directing. So I'm very excited about AM Studios. They're looking at a couple of licenses in particular that are really cool. Very cool. I'm also directing a Christian animated series called Supernatural Sid. It hasn't been released yet, but I cast it and directed it. And this is prelay. Now, I don't know if you guys know what that means. So this panel is going to be educational. Anime is dubbed because the animation's already done, right? It's done in Japan. All of the animation is done. So the voice actors that they bring in, whether it's English or Spanish or French, they have to match animation that's already been drawn, which is its own challenge. Any anime voice actor will tell you. It's a lot harder to give a performance that's believable and authentic when you have to match the movement.
They did it to me again. You don't like me, okay? I won't use the mic anymore. So that's dubbing, when the animation's done already. But a lot of Western animation, Simpsons, Family Guy, Futurama, Rick and Morty, all of that kind of stuff, it's called prelay. Prelay means you record the voices first. Now imagine how much more freedom and flexibility there is in being able to perform the line however you want as an actor. And then once the director gets the lines performed the way he likes them, he hands those recordings off to the animators and they animate to your performance. Much easier. Supernatural Sid is prelay. So I cast all the characters and they came to my studio and we recorded all of it. It's being animated right now. So that's something else that I'm working on. When COVID hit, and a lot of studios and businesses just stopped dead, I started doing audiobooks. I had never done audiobooks, and a lot of my friends, voice actors, told me that audiobooks were very hard work for not a lot of money. And so in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm not going to do audiobooks. Well, when COVID hit and there wasn't much else going on, and I have a studio in my home, and I can make a cup of coffee and throw on a bathrobe and sit in front of a microphone and work, that seemed, maybe we'll try audiobooks now, right? So I did it, and I really enjoyed it. You get to play all the characters. It's kind of fun, you know? Come up with different voices and characteristics and personalities for all the different characters. So I now currently have 5 audiobooks on Amazon and Audible. If you're an audiobook fan, remember these titles. In Plain Sight by Dan Willis. It's a very cool, futuristic, private detective thriller. The Crimson Spark by William Hastings, a wonderful fantasy novel. Paper Doll, which is a historical World War II true story about a family that guys that go to war. Star Trek fans, I did a book called These Are the Voyages. It is about the making of the original series. It's very in-depth, very comprehensive, and it's like pulling the curtain back and reading what they were going through to try to make these shows. It's fascinating. Interviews from people from the networks and actors that were on the show and producers and writers and everybody that was involved behind the scenes. I'm currently finishing a book called The Nova Quadrant, which is a sci-fi book. And then the guy that wrote The Crimson Spark that I mentioned a minute ago has written a follow-up book that I'll be doing as soon as I finish The Nova Quadrant. So I've come to really enjoy audiobooks. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I do a lot of music professionally as well. I write, I play the piano, I produce, sing, arrange. I have 6 CDs on iTunes. I have some over at my table if anyone's interested. Good music. I've sung the theme songs to a lot of anime series that you may know. But I decided when I was doing audiobooks that I would throw a little extra into the pot for the author. So when he hired me to do the audiobook, I didn't just record the audiobook. I actually wrote and produced music, like an opening piece of theme music for the audiobook as well. So I'm really, really enjoying audiobook. No, I don't want to. I don't want to annoy. Well, that was right at the same time.
Yeah, well, the vendors can't hear you without the microphone.
You hear them? Yeah. That's good. I apologize to anybody out there that the mic was too loud. Sorry. Who's got a question? Did you ever work? I think you did, didn't you?
Okay. So how do you get into fandom? Like, I mean, obviously episodes, but
How you mean? How would one
yeah.
start watching it? Oh, I'm not the right person to ask that question. Who's our Dragon Ball expert over here? Is there a Dragon Ball expert here? Tell her. Tell her how do you get into Dragon Ball? What do you
Start with
do?
Dragon Ball Kai.
Read the manga. Start with the manga. Go to a library.
Start with the manga?
No.
You're saying that in front of a voice acting? Forget the voice acting, just read it.
Watch the movie stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What would your recommendation be?
Dragon Ball is where you're supposed to start.
Way back.
Yeah.
So back to the beginning, before you were born. What?
Then straight to Kai, and skip GT, go straight to Super.
Okay.
Really don't like GT. Dude, Gundam Kokoro is the best opening in the
There you go. See? Wow, you got a lot of good input here. Shay, what's up?
The English version on here, the Crunchyroll is free.
Here you go. He's going home with lots of information. Yes.
So when you did get the Star Trek role, did you fear being a red shirt at
No.
any time?
No, I didn't. You know why? Because I created the show. So I cast myself as Captain Kirk. Yeah. I wear a gold shirt. I'm safe. Do you know what? I gotta tell you guys something. Everybody, listen closely because I'm about to give you a piece of trivia that very few people know. You ready for this? Everybody makes jokes about red shirts in Star Trek, right? Oh, the red shirts always get killed. Red shirts die. Red shirts go down on the planet. Don't wear a red shirt. Blah, blah, blah. Guess what? Somebody did a tally of all of the people that died in Star Trek, in the original Star Trek series. More people wore gold were killed than red. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Everybody thinks red shirt, red shirt. The gold shirts aren't safe either, apparently. So, unless you have.
Yeah, because
And then you can send people on the the way to.
yeah, because there's actually a meme of like a stormtrooper fires, misses every shot.
I heard
The red
about
shirt
that.
still dies.
I heard about that. Question. Who's got a question? Yes, sir.
How did you get right in the world?
Grant, okay, first of all, rest in peace, right? Grant Imahara. Anybody watch Mythbusters? Grant was part of Mythbusters, and he was one of the kindest people I've ever known. Oh my goodness, he's amazing, brilliant guy. Well, Grant and I did Dragon Con together years ago, and we became friends. And then about a year later, 2 years later, I saw him at a party in LA. And I went up to him and I'm like, hey man, how are you? And we were talking. And he said, what are you up to right now? And I pulled up my phone and I showed him photos of the sets that we were building. The replica of the original Star Trek series sets. And he was like, oh my gosh, I love the original Star Trek. And as I'm standing there looking at him, suddenly a little light bulb goes off in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't have a Subaru yet.
I hadn't cast anyone to play Sulu. He would be perfect. And I asked him, he's like, yes, absolutely. And he was just wonderful. He was absolutely wonderful. It was such a privilege. For those of you that don't know, speaking of my cast from Star Trek Continues, I play Captain Kirk. He's kind of my childhood hero. Chuck Huber, next door, you make sure you go over and see Chuck at his table. He plays Dr. McCoy. Anime fans probably know who Todd Havercorn is. Todd played Mr. Spock. Randy Mahara from Mythbusters played Sulu. Here's a really great one. Anybody here a big enough fan of the original Star Trek series to tell me who was the actor who played Scotty? Jimmy Doohan was his name. James Doohan. Guess who plays Scotty in my series? His son, Chris Doohan, plays his father's role. It's awesome. Yeah, check it out, everyone. Yes, you do it, yes. Question? I know somebody's got some here, yes.
How does it feel to be in the same conference shields up here?
You know what, Chuck did such an amazing job as Tucker, didn't he? Oh my gosh. Every time I see one of those t-shirts, have you guys seen the t-shirts where Alexander and Nina are doing the transmute? They're doing the fusion dance over top of the transmutation. I love it. Hey, where you can come and play with me? Who's got a question? Anybody? Yes, sir.
I always wondered, have you ever, like, what other voice actors you work with, have you ever tried doing any of their voices, what you think type of character would sound like for you?
Oh, you mean like if I kind of done my rendition of another character that somebody else did?
Do your best, Beast Boy.
What?
Do your best, Beast Boy.
I can't do it! No, I don't have that!
Do your best, Beast Boy.
My best? I don't know. I want to hear your best. Come on. Let's hear it.
Oh,
You're
literally Beast Boy.
Yeah, what's up, y'all? Waffles. Yeah, what's up, y'all? Waffles.
You know what? I'm always afraid to do that because he's that's the guy right there. Yeah? So I'll tell you a funny story though. Can I tell you a funny story about this? Has anyone seen the Iron Man anime? There was an Iron Man anime.
What?
Okay, you're gonna love this. You're gonna love this story. No. This was after Robert Downey, after Avengers. So I was living in LA, and I auditioned to play Tony Stark. And at the last minute, they cast someone else who was on, what was it? He was on Lost or something. He was on a TV show. And the producers wanted somebody that was more recognizable. They figured he would bring more people, So they cast him instead. That's kind of above that, right? But, you win some, you lose some. They cast me to play another character in the Iron Man anime. And I went in to record one day, and the guy who played Tony Stark had already come in to record his part. So I could hear his recorded lines in my headphones. And I was in the recording booth, and I could hear his voice, and my character was responding to him. And I heard him say a line, and then just for fun, I imitated him. And the woman from Disney, I think Disney produced the series, the woman from Disney who was in the control room behind the big glass window, she was sitting down, so you couldn't see her, right? And I imitated his voice, and she went, "Is that you?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I thought I was getting in trouble, right? Like I was just messing around." And she said, "Hold on a minute." I'm like, "Crap, I'm idiot." So she pushed a little button, right? A little intercom button. And she could talk. She said, "Hold on a minute." I'm like, she was talking to the engineer. She's like, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get fired. So they finish talking and she pushes the button and she says, the guy that we cast to play Iron Man doesn't like to yell. He's a singer and he doesn't want to hurt his voice doing the fighting, the Iron Man action fighting scenes. We're going to find one of those fighting scenes and we want you to do his voice. So I became his stunt voice. For whenever Iron Man was fighting, it was me. But whenever he wasn't, it was the other guy. No, I didn't find myself. I found something. No, it was some other monster or creature. No, my character wasn't important. It wasn't important enough to fight. Question? Yes, sir. Yes. I need you guys to say. Yeah, man. I am not much of a gamer. Are you a good gamer? I'm really bad at games. I tried, and I was so bad I gave up. So I'm not really good at it. Last video game I played was like Donkey Kong Jr. I loved it. In an arcade though, like didn't even have home video games yet. That's how long ago that was. What's your favorite?
I'm more of an FPS. I can't really say what's your favorite.
First person shooter, is that what this is? Cool, cool. Don't play this guy. He's an expert, I can tell. Chucks, you have a question?
Outside of Edward Norwood, what
Yes.
would you say is like your most favorite one to play?
Besides Ed,
Yeah.
Full Metal is my favorite thing I've done. Definitely. Full Metal Alchemist is my favorite. However, Oron High School Host Club is a very close second place. Oh, I love me some turkey. Yes, Commoner. What's your question, poor person? Yeah, I don't even know it. I don't know it. You know it? You gonna show everybody? Exactly.
Actually, no.
I don't know it. Yes, sir. Do you have a question? You're next. Get ready. Do you have a question?
What do you think of Star Trek Discovery?
You know what? I'm not a big Discovery fan. But you know what I am? I'm a live and let live kind of guy. You know what I mean by that? Like, just because I don't like it doesn't mean it should be destroyed. Or just because I don't prefer it doesn't mean that I should get online and talk crap about it and trash anybody who likes it. Where does that attitude come from? I don't understand people. You know, why can't you just let people like what they like? I think people have become so insecure, if I make it serious for 1 second. I think people have become so insecure that it's not enough that they have their own opinion. You have to have their opinion too. You know what I mean? Like they need that affirmation that you agree with them. Because it's just not enough that I feel this way. You have to feel this way too, or I hate you and you have to be destroyed. Where did that come from? You know, there wouldn't be anybody on the planet if everybody wanted to fight about any opinion they had. You know what I mean? Just let people enjoy what they enjoy. I don't understand where it comes from. Yes, did you have a question in the back? My lady?
I did. She raised her hand.
Oh, perfect. You have somebody raising their hand for you.
I was going to ask what your favorite anime was. Not one you've done, but one that you personally
Well,
seen.
you know what? It would have to be one that I've done. Four. It would have to be one that I've done because I would be closer and more emotionally invested. I've heard about a lot of really great animes. Wolf's Rain was an anime years ago that I heard was really, really good. Cowboy Bebop. I've seen some of. Steve Bloom is a good friend. I heard it was great.
Full Metal.
Full Metal. No, I love that guy right there. That guy. What is it? Oh, sweet! That's awesome. Yeah, Full Metal is my favorite. I love that show. I was so privileged to be a part of it because it was just a great show. It had nothing to do with me. I was just lucky enough to get to be a part of it. It was just a great story, great characters, great animation, great music. Just everything about it was wonderful.
And so on Destiny 2, Warlocks got less because they have this now inspiring Wood Mustang Snap.
Oh, really?
Yes, they do.
So they stole his flame powers, huh? Sweet. Question? Yes, sir.
What's the story about how you became Junpei in Persona 3?
Good old Junpei. And I didn't know much about Persona, and several years ago, Atlas, I believe was the name of the company, they were dubbing Persona into English, and I don't think I even auditioned. They just asked me to play Junpei, and I just loved him. It was so fun. Yeah, I even had a ball cap. I had a Junpei ball cap that I would wear when I recorded. I'm a nerd. I'm a big time nerd. Like, I had this Junpei ball cap, and anytime I would go into record Persona, I would wear my Junpei ball cap. Question? Anyone? Yes?
If you had the opportunity to do a live-action adaptation of Fandom, like you did Cowboys on Top,
Oh, it would very much interest me. Well, that's the good question. See, did you hear the question, you guys? He said if you had the chance to play a live action character from an anime, like if an anime was adapted into live action and you could play the character, who would it be? Well, one of the beautiful things about voice acting is that you can play characters that you would never get cast as on screen. Like, I would never get cast as Edward Elric, right? I mean, he's, 14? And yeah, you won't say the S word, but he's not tall. He's anti-tall. So, I mean, I would never get cast. Broly, not me. Not big enough, not jacked up enough. I would never, you play demons or bad guys or crazy people or any number of characters that the anime calls for that you would never get to play if they were going to adapt it into live action. If they were to do Full Metal, I think it would be fun to play like his dad, like Peloton, or maybe play Roy Mustang. I could do a Colonel Mustang.
I could see my name.
So, yeah, that's one of the fun things about voice acting is any character that you can voice may not be what you physically look like, but you have a lot more versatility in voice acting than you do on screen. Question? Yes, sir.
Would you like to do more Silent Hill stuff in the future? Did you enjoy that?
Yes, thank you for asking. A couple years ago, I did a live-action Silent Hill film. Any Silent Hill fans here? Well, Silent Hill, there was a character in that game named James Sunderland, and apparently the director of this, he wanted to shoot this live-action Silent Hill, thought that I looked a little bit like James Sunderland. So we shot this live-action thing. It was so fun. I love it. In fact, I'm getting ready to do a couple of other live-action things this year. I'm very excited about it.
Are they related to Silent Hill or something?
Pardon me?
Are they related to Silent Hill or
No,
something?
not related to Silent Hill. Same director possibly, but a different film. In fact, I also played a role in a movie that's about to be released. I can't remember where. Oh my goodness. It's called Exposure, and I play this drug dealer guy. You can see that, right? I look like a drug dealer, right? It's called acting. But it just announced it. I can't remember where it can be released, but fun stuff. It's fun to play characters that you're not, Like if it's you, then there's really not much acting involved, right? But it's fun to play character roles. Question? I know somebody's got more questions.
You said we'll do your birthday before.
All right, let's see it. Let's see that Ginyu Force pose. Come up here, let everybody see it. Yes! Give it up for me, guys. Awesome. Yes?
Would you be interested, since you were talking about doing music before, would you do somewhat similar like with the Persona soundtrack? Because they have some vocal tracks in
What's really interesting, I learned along the way, as I was voice acting, all the anime series always have theme songs, right? All of them. And a lot of them are in Japanese. And then some of them are dubbed into English. And I never really didn't really know why, like what's the difference, right? Why don't they dub them all in English? If you're going to dub the show in English, why not dub the theme songs? Well, what I found out was that a lot of the companies that own these anime titles, they want to sell music. They want to sell CDs. They want to sell records. So they leave the original songs on there so that it'll generate more sales of the Japanese versions of the soundtracks and the music. But every once in a while, a Japanese anime company will let the English company do an English dub of the theme songs. Like I did 3 One Piece theme songs. I did a song from Moran. I did a song from Full Metal. I did Dragon Ball Kai, the Dragon Ball Kai theme song. Don't stop, we're alive now, don't stop. And I did the Dragon Ball GT theme song. So I did a lot of anime themes, but they don't always get dubbed. Sometimes they stay in Japanese, and that's why, so they can sell more records for the bands that made the songs. Question? Who's got a question? Yes, sir. You're next.
When you're a Broly voice decent, I'll put you out of your misery.
What? I'll put you out of your misery. I'll put you out of your misery. Girls. Yes.
Which theme did you do?
Oh, the Brothers theme. How can I repay you, brother mine? I love that song. So beautiful. Question? Anybody? Yes. Favorite anime intro? Who was the person that brought the series Air to my table? Dude, I love that theme song. There's a series that I did. He's going to rip out the DVD called Air. And man, that theme song, I love that theme song. I also love the Full Metal theme songs. What was the, I can't remember the name of it. Oh my goodness, it's been so long. Wait, is it Rewrite? I can't remember the name of it. But that was one of the first Full Metal things that I really loved. And you know, when you actually play a character in a show, and you go in to record every week, you hear that song every week. You're like, oh, I love that song now, because you hear it all the time. So sheer repetition. Yes?
Are you familiar with
I am familiar with Dragon Ball Rays. That's Team 4-Star, right? Yes. They're hilarious. Good. Wait a minute. Have I seen the abridged version? No, I haven't. No, I don't think I should. Based on his laughter, I don't think I should. Really? Maximumer? My power is maximum. Maximumer. Does anybody have a question? Yes. Hi.
Hi. So when you did Zero from Vampire Knight and his twin brother, how did you personify like the distinction between the two characters?
I love that question. Anybody here ever seen the anime called Vampire Knight? Anybody ever seen Vampire Knight? Great show. The funny thing that I have to tell, whenever I talk about Vampire Knight, I have to tell this story. Vampire Knight was produced, it was dubbed and produced by Bang Zoom Entertainment in LA. And I had done several shows with Bang Zoom, and I went and auditioned, and I wanted to play Zero so bad, right? And
I auditioned, and then I went to a convention in Hawaii, Kauai Con. So I was over there, and I was literally carrying my phone because I was waiting for a call from Bang Zoom, one way or the other, right? One way or the other. My phone rings. Oh no, wait, it doesn't. I just got a voicemail notification. And I looked at the voicemail, and it was an 818 number, which is LA, and I was like, it didn't even ring! What the heck? So I listened to the voicemail, and it was Eric, the head of Banks. He called me, and the phone didn't even ring. And I'm listening to this voicemail, and this is what he said. Hey Vic, it's Eric Sherman. I want to thank you for coming in and auditioning for Vampire Night. I just want to say I'm sorry, but we'll find something in the future to work on together. I started crying, y'all. No. I started tearing up. And there was somebody with me at the time, and I was listening to his voicemail, and I went like this. I didn't get anything in Vampire Night. And I'm still listening to his voicemail. I promise we're going to work on something together soon. And then he goes, in fact, we're going to work on something very soon because you're going to be playing Zero and Ichiru in Vampire Night. And I went, and I hung the phone up and I went, I'm playing Zero! Who's Ichiru? I didn't even know who that was. Turns out it was his twin brother. And the same actor in Japan who played Zero also played his twin brother. That was fun. That was my favorite part of Vampire Night, was playing two characters that literally talk to each other and interact with each other. But their personalities are different. I mean, they sound the same, but the attitude's different. So, if one of them was pretty straight tone like this, talking about how, Yuki is very important to me. And his brother is more sinister, but the same voice. Oh, so she's very important to you. See, the voice is the same, but the attitude is different. The personality is different. And that's the key to voice acting. The key to voice acting isn't changing your voice with every character. The key is playing the personality of the character. Right? But I really enjoyed that show. In fact, the way that we would do it is we would record all of Zero's lines and then go back to the beginning, take a little 5-minute break, and they kind of get the new mindset and do all of each of his lines. And it was funny because I could hear the lines I just recorded as Zero, and I'm answering myself and responding to myself. Yes?
Is there like a scenario where you had like a Cell versus Broly moment at any point, just for fun?
No. But I tell you what I love. I love me some a Frieza. She's amazing. She's awesome.
Like in, yeah.
Come over to the table after and we'll do that. Any other questions? Oh, you have that down, don't you? You got that.
Yeah, he's embarrassed.
Yes. You're next.
We're going to talk about Dragon Ball and all these other animes. How about Soul Eater? With that side.
Where's the Soul Eater love, y'all? Yeah. I love that show.
My favorite.
Yeah, and you know what? Soul Eater is a perfect example of another thing. Every actor wants to play the main character, right? I mean, if you're an actor, you want to play the lead. And kind of just normally you want to play the lead. And I auditioned for all those different characters in Soul Eater. Death the Kid, Soul, all of them. And I didn't get cast in any of them. And I thought, oh well, hey, like I said before, right? You try your best, you win some, you lose some. So the director called me in and he said, I want you to play this character named Death Sight. He's Mako's dad. And from the very moment that I saw him and he started, the moment he came on screen, I'm like,
oh, this guy is awesome. And I learned a very valuable lesson. Sometimes the most fun characters aren't the main characters. They're those one-off characters, and you can have so much more fun with them. You know what I mean? Because you can really play a lot more. Because main characters often have to be kind of the anchor of the show, right? They kind of ground the show. 50, 100 episodes of that voice, you know, they're the ground of the show. But then all these episodic characters come in. You can have so much fun with them. So I came to learn that the main character is not always the most fun to play. Yes, sir. I think this may be our last. We only have time maybe for one more. Yes.
Do you have any fighter of the Resident Evil series, or have you ever thought about getting into the Resident Evil series?
You know what? I know about it. I mean, I think Laura Bailey was in that. I think she voiced something in that. I love Laura Bailey. She played Lust in Full Metal. She's amazing. She's an amazing voice actress. But I don't know much about it. I know of it. I've heard it's awesome. Is that something I should look into?
It's an interesting series that definitely, like, you just gotta know.
Okay, I will take your suggestion.
It's kind of like a cousin of Silent Hill.
Is it really?
A little bit. It's more action.
Okay. We have about 5 minutes left. Does anyone have a question? Yes.
So do you have any like funny stories from your experience as a voice actor?
Do I have any funny stories from my experiences? You know, I've been voice acting 20 plus years. Lots of funny stories. Lots of funny stories. What do you think? Think of a good one. Okay, you know what? I can't believe that this guy brought that DVD. You guys remember the show that I was just talking about? This one, Eric? Okay, so we were recording that show. I play this homeless guy. He's kind of an vagrant. He hangs out by the seawall, by the ocean, and he has a little puppet that he puts on little puppet shows for, just to try to make a little money, you know, like a street performer kind of thing. Love that character. Yukito was his name. So, this is very sophomoric humor. I'm just going to warn you, okay? So there was a scene, we were recording one day, and my character is standing at the top of the hill, and he makes friends with this little girl who doesn't have any friends. She's nice to him. Nobody's nice to him, right? He's this smelly vagrant kind of a guy, and everybody kind of keeps their distance. But this young girl befriends him. And she's kind of weird at school. She doesn't have any friends at school. So they form this bond, right? Outcasts together. So there was a scene where she was at the bottom of this hill, and I was at the top of the hill, and she was trying to climb up the hill, and I reached down to help her up the hill. And you make a sound like an effort sound, like I'm trying to help somebody, like this, right? You make that sound. You're recording it, right? I don't know what got into me, but I reached down and was getting ready to record the sound. What you do is you watch it one time, so you know what you're doing. What's it look like? How long should it be? Should it be open mouth or closed mouth? I mean, you just watch it one time, so you know what you want to do. So we watched it, and we're getting ready to record it. And the moment that I grabbed her hand, I went, and the director started laughing, and you know how that goes, right? Then we just couldn't stop. I mean, my character would sit down on a bench, and I'd go, and we just started making all these horrid noises. And I couldn't even get a line of dialogue out. Like, I would try to do a line of dialogue, and this is, I don't know if you know this, but a lot of studios use what's called a beat method. And this is what it's like. You'll hear in your earphones, boop, boop, boop. And right where the fourth beat should be is where your line begins, to help you know where to strike. Every time for the next hour, boop, boop.
And I'd start to talk, and then I'd just start laughing. We just couldn't. I mean, we've ruined the whole night. We got nothing recorded. Now, the funniest part about that is that the name of the show is Air. So I thought that was funny. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun on Full
At least it
Metal,
wasn't
too.
wind.
We had a lot of fun on Full Metal too. There was a scene where Ed was, he got punched in the face, and his little face swelled up. And I thought, as I saw the character on screen, I thought, I'll bet you if your cheek is really swollen up, you probably wouldn't sound the same as you normally would. So I asked the director if I could go and get some, like, something from the vending machine to put in my mouth. So I ran to the vending machine and I was looking at burritos, cookies, and and there it was. Powdered sugar donuts. The little ones. The little package of 6. Perfect size. Put right in your cheek, right? Perfect. So I ran back to the recording booth and I jumped in there and went, okay, let's do this. And I stuck a donut in. We started recording and it worked really well. It sounded kind of puffy and different. But what I didn't anticipate was how long his mouth was going to be puffy. How long I was going to have something in my mouth. And those donuts, you're not supposed to keep them in your mouth. You're supposed to eat them. Because if you keep them in your mouth, they start turning into goo. And I didn't want to eat it because I was using it as a prop, right? So it was so bad. I just kind of spit it out. But there were more scenes with him with the puffy mouth. So I had to put donut number 2 in and went through the whole package of donuts. Suffice to say, it's been 20 years now. I've never had another powdered sugar donut. You guys, I'm gonna head back to my table.